Hey, how's it going? This is your daily sweet talk for September 29th, 2023. I heard Letterbox just got bought out, bo- boxed out. I don't know how this sort of stuff works, but it doesn't look like it was bought up by like a thing like Amazon or something. It's more like a holdings company. I don't know how this stuff works. I assume it's not gonna have many changes, but I don't know. Again, I don't know how this stuff works, but it gives me opportunity to talk about Letterboxd. I use Letterboxd to log everything I watch. That's what it's for. I guess it's for people to talk about movies, but I like to keep track of things. I like to log things. I like to list things that I've seen. I like to log the content that I have absorbed, as the lame way of saying it, and give my thoughts. And Letterboxd, I think, is I have no complaints really about the way Letterboxd is designed in that regard. It does have a lot of ads. I recently bought the premium version of Letterboxd. Why? I don't know. I probably shouldn't have. It was a pretty impulse buy. I like the little features that come with it, but it's probably not worth the amount that I paid. But whatever. I'm a fan of the site, and this was before they were bought out, and I knew that money would be probably going somewhere else. I don't know, because I think they were like an independent. I don't know. I'm not. What I want to talk about was other sites that are like Letterboxd for other media, such as Backlogged, which is very clearly inspired by Letterboxd for video games, and I'm pretty happy with my usage of that site as well. It's a little bit confusing because the way um, video games are played is not as straightforward as like you just watch a movie, that's it, you watched it. So like because you take in video games in increments, and not all video games are just like a singular thing. You can just keep playing a video game forever, and you might just play it for a few minutes. So it can be a bit complicated logging it in that regard. People also watch other people play video games. That's rarely complicated with movies unless you're watching a commentary. I wouldn't log something I watched someone else play unless I was like there with them, like they might hand over the controller or something like that. Um, but Backlogged, I'm also happy with. I think they're doing a very good job. But past those two, there's not really good. The three I would really like are for, and I don't think I've talked about this before. No, I have. I talked about it for books. I was thinking Goodreads really needs to improve and be more like Letterboxd, which I don't think is going to happen. I found a new one on the Backlogged Discord. Someone recommended Storygraph, and I've been using that. But you're not able to like have like notes as you go through a book, which Goodreads has, which is like the one thing I like about Goodreads. But for Storygraph, you have that, but it's private, and you can't change that. So I'm not really a fan of that. So now I'm like using both Goodreads and Storygraph, which isn't ideal, but Storygraph does seem more user friendly, at least a little bit. But it's complicated with books. The way you go through a book, it's not necessarily as like sure thing as like I played a little bit of this game, or I watched this movie. Whereas a book, it's like, oh, I read this sentence, or I read a little bit of this page. It's a little bit harder to keep track of, so it can be complicated. But these sites don't really try that. It seems like Goodreads and Storygraph is more for just like getting book recommendations and like leaving book reviews. It's like I want to log what I've read, and I want to like keep track of what I'm reading. Like this is for I want to use these sites to keep track of what I'm doing, because I mean my memory is awful. I'll go back to Letterboxd reviews I left sometimes. I'm like, oh, so that's what I thought about that movie. That's why I liked that movie, because all I remember is that I liked it. So the reviews are very handy for me for that. Um, I don't have a lot more time, but I would television is a big one. I've seen some apps or whatever that supposedly are like that. Then I'll use it, and it's more like just to remind you when shows are airing, which is not really useful anymore because everything's streaming, so everything drops at once. And I'm not gonna go binge a show. Like I don't watch shows really when they drop anymore, unless I'm really into it. So besides television, also music. Music would be a good one to keep track of. I have Last FM, but it's iffy.